Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair, and this time I will take my old Nikon lens series E because there are maybe some, or I will just show how it looks when you have to clean the oily aperture blades and the oily aperture assembly. And it's my Nikon lens series E 100mm 2.8. So I mean, the lens looks pretty good, and there isn't not much oil in it, but I will just show you how you can fix that in a easy way. Kind of just need some tools. At least we need some JIS screwdrivers. It's a 2.5mm and a 2mm. It's from Moody Tools, but I buy it on ifixit.com. And no, I am not sponsored by any company. I buy my own stuff. So that's it. I made a special tweezer. It has actually been this tweezer, but I bent it and even more, and file it down so it's really thin, and it's really good to put in the blades because it's very thin. So I mean, I can also use a small lens sucker to actually take out the blades and also put them in again. A few cotton buds can be very handy, and we of course also need a solvent of something, which I use, that's what I like, for the blades. It's Isopropylalcohol 99%. We also need to unscrew the nameplate here and the back, of course, the mount. Maybe someone would say it's not necessary to unscrew the mount, but it's just much easier when when you put it back in again. So we just take off the nameplate here with a rubber tool. It could be the rubber cones here from Japan Hobby Tool, which I like. Thanks, Richard. And I will use number 4 of those cones. Of course, I could also use a walking stick rubber, which has the correct diameter, and it doesn't cost much, I think. I don't know where you can get them in the shop where they sell things for handicapped people or so, but it's really sticky and it has the right concave shape that fits over the convex lens. So, but I will just use the rubber cones just to show it is possible. So center it correct, and then put a good pressure on it. Remember, the nameplate is made of plastic, so don't break it. Just unscrew it, and here it is. Now, plastic. But it's a good quality. Now, then we head into the to the 6 screws here on the front, which 3 of them hold the front ring here, and the other 3 hold the front lens assembly. And before taking it apart, just so you have your reference, set a mark up here somewhere, so you will know in reference to the index mark, so you know where the parts should sit. It will say the front ring and the front lens screw. I've already been into the lens, of course, to investigate, but make a scratch so you know where it should sit. When assemble it again, it will make it a lot easier. Now, you could also make a scratch on the actual the half moon shape or 3/4 shape plate in here that goes against the now I will come to closer. No, forget it. Well, I'll just take out the front ring. It's just because I also made a video about the how to fix the stiff focus ring in this lens. So and then it's here, out with it, and I just arrange the screws so I know where it should sit in this. It's not necessary, but the front lens group. Now here you can see it again. We can make a scratch here on the plastic, and just so we know the position of the front lens group, where it should sit. I haven't seen a repair manual for this. Oh. I haven't seen a repair manual for this lens, so this is just how I look at it. Maybe others have a different meaning. That's fine. So off with that, and put those aside here. Also the front lens group just come out, and the lens actually looks fine. Now then we head into the the aperture assembly, which you can see here. The really shiny areas here is actually nail polish or kind of a lacquer lac that hold the front plate of the aperture assembly in place, and it's held by 2 screws here and there. And we also need some kind of nail polish when we put it back in again. And so because I want to take off the mount, it's simply because of this pin. This is the connection from the back here. So I mean via the inner ring here. So it's much easier to put on first the aperture assembly when you put it in, and then put on the mount again. It will just be much easier. It could be a little difficult, but this is just how I see it. Now before, and this is actually important, before taking out the the aperture assembly, it is important, because if there was a repair manual, does not tell anything about it, how the aperture assembly should sit. So just so we have this in place, there should be a mark on first the plate. You can see here, next the bottom plate, I think it's called, maybe, and then the inner focusing barrel. So they have to sit in line. So when putting back in the aperture assembly, everything is lined up as it should before you took it apart. This is just how I see it, because there is no one to ask, okay, how should it sit correct? So this is why you have to make your own notes. So don't forget that. So I just take out the mount. The screws are non-magnetic in this lens, and again it could be different in your lens. So there and there. Away with those, and then take out the, we can set the aperture ring to 22 and just take out the mount. So here we'll see this is the connection pin via the where did it go? Here. This is the connection pin from the camera into the aperture assembly, and you can see if I want to put it in, it's just much easier to catch the, and also if I set it to near end, I mean infinity, so it's just much easier to put the mount on again, as you can see here. So, and it's only 3 screws for that. And we can also take out the aperture ring. This looks here. Put it aside somewhere, and then it's time to take out the aperture assembly. There is a pin here that is the pin from the aperture ring that actually move the plates, the aperture mechanism plate, I think it's called. So and you can see the 2 screws on the back here, this tiny one here and the other one over here. That's the 2 screws that shows up here. Now everything is ready to take out. There's no spring in here that we can be surprised to disappear. So we can just unscrew the 2 screws. Out with that. They are long. Okay. Well, since I haven't been into the aperture assembly yet, I will just see it as you see it. So, out with that. And then we need a tweezer. Yeah, this one. Probably it's good for that. And we can just grab it. Okay. Well, we could do it in a different way, because we can just use the rubber cones and simply put in one cone and flip over the lens assembly, I mean the focusing assembly, and here it's out. So now it looks like this. Fine to know. And here we're facing the whole aperture assembly, and we can actually see there are some trace of oil here, which we need to get rid of. So I'll just put the whole thing, I mean I disassembled it and put the whole thing into isopropylalcohol. And we need to unscrew the, take out the little circlip here. And for that we'll use another dentist tool, which could be useful. A spade kind of dentist tool. So we can undo the spring, hopefully. Can be a little tricky. Maybe the other. Or we just need a more flat tool to undo it in so something like that. And then take it out. Then we can take out the circular here. You can see there's trace of oil in here. So it's good I actually get into the lens. And there is also traces of oil here. And there should not be any oil in the aperture assembly. Not at all. It has to run dry. Now flip it over, and then we can with the spade look-alike tool here lift up the front of the aperture assembly, and it should be possible, hopefully. Oh, what does it has to do? Maybe it has to turn a little. Nah. So one can get a tool in under it and then hopefully lift it up a little. Or maybe I have to, because their nail polish or whatever they have used here, so maybe someone can press a little on it to make it soft. Or we could just head into some nail polish remover and just very little on the with a cotton bud, just a tiny amount. Just have to soften it in the edge here, so we can just do so, and hopefully soften the thread. I mean, lighter fluid doesn't work, isopropyl doesn't work for me, so the best thing to do is to use nail polish remover. That's just my opinion. It could be different from other people. I respect that. So now it should be more easy to hopefully lift it up a little. Yeah, it pops free. And since I have my mark here, I know exactly what the position of this ring should be. So we can just lift it out. And also remember this little part here, how it should sit. Because it's really so. And this pin here, this little pin, is actually moving. Let's see. It's going through the gap here. So if I put it in, hold on. You see it go through the gap here. So we can just put this on here, and then it should fit correct. Yeah, that's fine. So there is no problem. And of course there is also another detail here, because what actually moved the aperture mechanism plate here, the other pin, I mean, there is a gap here, and there are two pins. the long one that goes through the gap, and this one, the tiny one, is actually pushing on this side of the aperture mechanism plate, I think it's called, maybe moving plate or whatever, as you can see. So it's not really that tricky. Now that's in place, so we know that. Just put the link down here. Stinks like I have my my ventilation on, so it's a bit noisy. Hopefully not too much. Now take out the yeah, let's see. Take out the mechanism plate, and it can only sit in one position. And look how the blade sits. There is also traces of something on this plate here. So we can just take out the blades and just push out one blade so you can see the pin that hold the blade. I mean the next blade, and then we can just take it out and drop it into something isopropylalcohol. Do not even think about using acetone, because it will, if the blades are made of plastic, those are probably made of plastic. I'm not quite sure, but we can see, hey, it's made of metal. Good. So there's actually no problem with that. But if blades were made of plastic, you would destroy them completely. And where to buy new blades? No one knows. Buy another lens. And we can, yeah, we can also use this one and use the cloth to clean the aperture cover plate here, I think it's maybe called, and use a good cloth to wipe off the rest of the isopropylalcohol. And I will just speed up the process. And now the last plate will clean, so it's nice and fine and without any oil trace on it. So we can just put it aside. See, that's all fine. Maybe there is some, no, it actually looks okay in here, so there's no need to do anything in here. And so I can just assemble the whole thing again. Yeah, I will do so. And then we simply will assemble the whole thing. I will put the bottom plate of the aperture in here and set the lens to something near end, and then I can simply just put the whole thing in. There's only 2 holes, so yeah, I can just put the plate in here and simply put the blades in after that. Find those 2 holes that hold the bottom plate of the for the apertures. So and you see I have my mark here, so I know where it should sit exactly. That's important. We can adjust it later on, but for now I can just put in the blades and get everything to work. And now not the last blade, but the blade before it comes in a good way, but the last one is sometimes more a little tricky, can be, but we have to flip out the first blade we put in so we can free the hole as you see here, and we have to open it as much as possible. The next blade here is holding the first blade, so there is not a problem. And then it should be possible to put in the last blade, and I can see we need to move it a bit more, something like that here. And then with the tweezer we can just bend a little so it comes over the last blade. And here we are. And we can then just correct the blades so they are in a circle. It's better to have them a bit more out, then it's easier to correct. Oh gosh, hey, stay there. So, and then we're almost there. A full round circle. Then the next part comes in, and it's a good thing. The things can actually only sit in one position. So the aperture moving plate is not the best tweezer for that. I will use another one. It's a dented tweezer to hold this part here in place, and then put it in. And how should it sit? It should sit like over here, as I remember. Gosh. So there. I won't have to move it a little around to correct it a little. So there, and here we are, and actually it's working. Wow, but that's great. So now we can just align the bottom plate, I mean the plate for the assembly, and correct it here so my mark is in line with the other mark. Then put on the top cover here for the aperture, and maybe this one will work. I can just see if it okay, it's okay. And then find the mark, sits here, then lower it over, and be sure the little pin here goes through the gap, which it will do, and the other pin is correct side of the mechanism plate. And then it should be possible to push it down gently, hopefully. Everything is lined up there and there and there. Okay, there is a little issue here. Maybe, maybe not. So, one click into place, and here we are. So the plate here, oh gosh, it comes on the wrong side here. This little has to go on the, you see, it shouldn't be there. Okay, it should be that. So that way. I thought it was different, but now here we have it. And then I can add the 2 screws and also add a little amount of nail polish, as they already have. Doesn't really go that good. And here we are. No, not yet. There it should be. What's going on here? Ah, I was in the wrong position. So you can see sometimes it's not that easy when working with those parts. Yeah. And this is also why it is so important to set small marks before you take things apart. And here we are. So let's see if it is working as it should. Okay, I forgot something. Yeah, sorry for that. The most important thing. Come on. I forgot the circular moving parts here. Yeah, come on. Gosh. Okay. Where did it go? Did it go? Here. What a good day. Okay, we'll just take it out. It's not a big problem. Flip it over, so. And of course those parts here, I think there was something wrong. But it has to sit there. Right here. And then it should also be possible to open it and close if there was, fully open it, and if there was a spring inside here, it would close the aperture again. So it's correct assembled. Just need the circlip. Now that was really not good. But you can see it's good to have a kind of documentation of this thingy. So everything is assembled correct. Just need to put it in again. So just do so. And find the 2 screws. It should sit like this, and when I flip it over, the long gap has the pin through it. So we just need to put it in like this. Okay, so here we are. And where did my mark go? somewhere here, and it's correct here. Nope, not yet. The 2 screw holes so also have to be aligned correct. So there, and where did that go? Where's that? Okay, I'm not correct aligned. It needs to be moved up to something here, and then I have my 2 screw holes where they should be here. Correct. Oh gosh, that was that was yeah. Sometimes one forgets things. So I can just add the screw where it should be. So there. And it's aligned correct. Not yet. Just have to move a little. The whole assembly here. And yeah, it is correct where it should. I can just tighten 1 screw and then the other one. But not fully tighten it, because I will just use a little nail polish. Stinks like. I don't get it why it should stink so much. Well, just with a 2 stick, add a little amount here on the side of the screw head. Then tighten the screw gently, not too much, and then the other one, just loosen it a little, and then add a little so doesn't have to be much. And here we are. So now everything is yeah, correct assembled, and we can just head off to put in the aperture ring. So there. Oh, of course it has to sit the opposite. And there it is. Now the mount comes on, and we can just set it to infinity, then put in the mount. As you can see, it's easy hopefully to see the gap here where the pin should go through. And here the screws are here, and everything is actually working as it should. Wow, luckily. Now we have a fully working aperture without any oil. Now put in the front lens group. Where's my mark? They are there. So I know the exact position. Then add the 3 screws here. And the nameplate. Also a mark here. Should sit. Then the nameplate, going a little backward, catch the thread there. And here we are again with a fully working aperture, no oil at all. So that was all for me. Hope you enjoy the content. Yeah, that was not that was some unexpected things, so but bye bye.